If you're a Christian who is working hard but your finances are not improving, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you why counting the cost is the missing step between vision and financial growth. Let's go. Hey there, welcome. If it's your first time here, a double welcome to you. Over here, we talk about faith and finances. We talk about applying biblical strategies to our money so that we can achieve our financial goals, right? And not for selfish reasons, but so that we can honor God in everything that we do, and more especially in stewarding the resources that He has provided for us, right? So today we're going to talk about the gap between your financial goals and your reality. And I'm going to tell you a story about me recently. I have the tendency to put my hands in a lot of things, right? And recently I'd gone through a season where I was trying out so many different things, but I was financially stuck. I had a bunch of ideas. I had my hands in all kinds of different money-making things, right? But financially, I wasn't seeing the type of growth that I thought I would be seeing because I was putting in a lot of effort. But my effort was not multiplying, right? I kept asking God to increase what I was building, but I never stopped to calculate the cost of having my hands in all these multiple projects. Now, Jesus encourages us to count the cost before we build anything. And so let's go to scripture. Let's go to the Gospel of Luke, and let's go to chapter 14, verses 28 to 30. And Jesus is saying, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation, is not able to finish? All who will see it will begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'" My God, if that scripture doesn't make you pause, then I don't know, because it made me pause. I realized that I had not spent time counting the cost of having my hands in so many different projects. Jesus is not talking about having extraordinary faith or even about doubt. In this scripture, he's talking about stewardship. The goal is not to start. The goal is to finish. And financially, I realized that I had started many towers that I did not have the capacity to complete. If you have your hands in many things like I did in that season, but you're not seeing any financial growth, it may not be a lack of faith. It may just be a lack of focus. Now, here's what I did in that season, almost like an audit. And for those of you that don't know, I'm an accountant. And so I'm really good at systems, and I'm really good at following systems, right? So here are 3 personal financial habits that I implemented in that season of my life where I had my hands in so many things and still was not seeing growth financially. One of the things I did was really let go of what wasn't serving me in that season financially, right? And you can do the same. I see this, especially with women. We have the tendency to have our hands in so many things and then complain when we don't see the type of fruit that we are anticipating. But that's just simply because we are not focusing on the fruit, right? Focusing on what's serving us for that particular season that we're in. For example, if you're in a season where you're raising, let's say, 3 toddlers under the age of 3, right? That is not the season that you want to also start a new business and work a full-time job, right? We have to be cognizant of the seasons that we're in. So number 1 is being aware of the season that we're in. And then number 2 is letting go of what's not serving us, especially financially in that season. So let's say you're in a debt payoff season, right? For example, that is not the season that you want to book the most expensive vacation that you've ever booked, right? That is not the season that you want to upgrade your closet. right? Cutting off things that don't serve you in that season. You want to focus on producing more income in that season so that you can pay off your debt faster, and then in turn enjoy, the vacation that you've been wanting to enjoy, or enjoy the closet upgrade that you've been wanting to have for so long, right? So cut off what's not serving you in the specific season that you're in and just focus on that one thing, right? If you're focused on debt elimination, let that season just be a season of debt elimination. And then once you've paid off the debt, then you can go into investing, or you can go into focused savings, right? Building a bigger emergency fund, right? But trying to do everything all at once is what causes many Christians to fail financially and find themselves in the same place year after year on the first of the year, talking about, I'm going to do better with my finances this year. Number two thing that I did in that season to really count the cost and to really focus on completing what I was working on was preserving my energy. Energy is currency. And I noticed that when I had my hands in so many different projects, one of the reasons why I wasn't completing the project is because I would be tired. I would be expending my energy in too many buckets. So what I decided to do was reduce the energy buckets, right? So that I could focus on pouring into, instead of 7 buckets of income producing things or venues, right? Or strategies, I focused on only two. And then I began to see growth in that area because I was no longer diluting my energy. My energy was focused. And when I was done with the work that I needed to do for those 2 streams of income, that was it. I didn't pick anything else up until those 2 stabilized. So I would say the same for you. Instead of pouring into so many projects, pick 2 or pick 1 project and just spend all your energy into growing that project, building that project, completing that project, right? Let's say if you have a job and you have maybe you're selling products on the side, focus on the job at the moment that's giving you more income, right? Focus on growing in that area so that you can have more income, and then pour into the business that you're building, or a small business that you're building. Once you've stabilized your job and you've gotten the resources, that financial resources that you need, and you've got a schedule in place, then you can focus on spending some of your time on growing the business. Let's say you bake at the end of the day, right? Focus on growing your job, getting more money at your job. If you have overtime at work, focus on that. Or if you're working on a promotion, focus on that. And then once that's stabilized, you get the promotion, you get the type of revenue that you need, then you can begin to focus on your small business and maybe spend an hour a day or an hour a week on the small business and pour into that small business until it grows, right? Maybe just work on one product in that small business, right? And then as that grows, then you can add on another product and so on and so forth, right? But if you spread yourself too thin, you will find that maybe you're getting in trouble at work because you're late. You're always late because you worked all night on a business that's not, producing any finances yet. And the business is not producing finances, but then at the job, you're in trouble. And so you're cutting yourself short and you're spreading your energy too thin. Okay. Sometimes building wealth is about restraint and about slowing down and focusing on 1 or 2 things that you can do well. And number 3 is time management. Time management affects your revenue. Okay. We all have the same number of hours in a day, right? In order for you to complete a project, in order for you to complete an assignment, you want to be able to really write your time down on paper, right? Let's say you have a project that's going to take you 7 hours at work to complete. You want to map that out day by day, hour by hour in your weekly calendar and make sure that you get it to full completion, right? In the same vein, let's say you run a business, right? You want to be able to account for every hour of your working day, right? Let's say you work from 9 to 5. You want to be able to audit your time. You want to be able to say from 9 to 10, I'm only focused on marketing. From 10 to 11, I'm only focused on social media. From 11 to 12, and make sure that everything that you're doing is directly related to bringing in income, right? And again, everything that's not related to bringing in income in your money building and income building season, you need to cut that off. So let's say 12-hour window when you are awake and doing stuff. If 2 of those hours is committed to Netflix, right, then you want to cut that out. If 2 of those hours is committed to scrolling, right, then you want to cut that out, because you could spend that 2 hours doing more income producing work just for that season, right? So auditing your time and auditing my time is what really helped me see a shift and growth in my finances. Now, God will give you vision, right? He'll give you vision for your life, for your business, for your career. But it's up to you to steward it well and ensure that you complete the projects, not just start them, but complete the projects. Because that is the goal for each and every one of us as Christians, is to hear the Lord say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," right? And well done means that you've completed the work that you're assigned to complete on this earth. So if you enjoyed this, if this helped you shift your thinking when it comes to your finances and when it comes to the gap between your finances and your hard work, I want you to click the subscribe button. I want you to click the like button, and I want you to share this video with another Christian that you believe would benefit from our discussions and our conversations here on faith and finances. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.